At the edge of a dry clearing, hidden by brittle grasses, a man-made pit yawned like a wound in the earth. Dug crudely and abandoned, it had filled with thick, rain-soaked mud over the past days. And at its center, flailing helplessly, was a tiny lion cub. The mud was merciless, clinging like glue to the cub's legs. With each movement, it dragged him deeper, his small paws disappearing beneath the surface. The more he struggled, the faster the slurry closed around him. His cries turned to weak, broken gasps, mud splattering his face as he fought to keep his head above the surface. Almost instantly, two adult lions appeared on the scene. The lioness, his mother, charged to the rim, her golden body trembling with panic. She threw her claws into the soft earth, raking at the crumbling edges, trying desperately to carve a way down. But each pull only sent clods of soil tumbling into the pit, threatening to bury her cub even faster. Beside her was the male lion, the father. Normally the image of dominance and composure, he was frantic. His mane shook as he circled the pit again and again, his roars rumbling with a sound unlike battle. It was anguish. He reached with his massive paws, but the ground gave way each time, his strength useless against the trap. The cub's cries grew fainter, muffled under the weight of mud. The parents froze, the reality hitting them like a blow. This was a human trap, a pit meant for snaring wildlife, and it was killing their only offspring. The lioness let out a guttural roar that tore across the plain, a sound of sheer despair. And then, something extraordinary happened. Instead of abandoning the scene or turning their fury on the nearest target, the lions looked outward. Their eyes, sharp and burning with desperation, searched the horizon as if calling for help. That call was answered a few hundred meters away. Ranger Samuel Kumalo was steering his dusty Land Rover across a patrol track. For more than a decade, Samuel had walked these plains, documenting elephant herds, removing snares, and protecting prides from poachers. His companion, a loyal German shepherd named Keto, sat alert in the passenger seat, ears twitching. When the first roar reached him, Samuel assumed it was the ordinary sound of lions hunting. But the second and third cries struck him differently. There was something off. They were shorter, sharper, tinged with fear. His instincts told him to investigate. As he turned a bend in the track, his heart lurched. Standing directly in his path were two lions, a full-grown male and lioness. They were not attacking, not posturing, but pacing. Their movements were restless, imploring, their golden eyes locked on his vehicle with a strange urgency. Samuel braked hard, every muscle tense. Two lions at this range could kill him in seconds. His hand hovered near the radio, ready to call for backup. But then he saw it. Their posture wasn't aggressive. The lioness darted toward his jeep, then back toward the clearing, looking over her shoulder as if begging him to follow. The male growled, not at Samuel, but at the earth itself. Years of reading animal behavior flashed through Samuel's mind. He realized the impossible. These lions weren't warning him away. They were asking him to come. His breath quickened. Could this be a trap? Was desperation clouding his judgment? Still, his gut screamed the truth. Something was terribly wrong, and these lions were pleading for help. He whispered to Keto to stay low and restarted the engine. Slowly, cautiously, he followed as the lions led him off the track, their movements frantic but purposeful. Within minutes, Samuel saw the pit. His chest tightened. The cub was almost gone. Only its head bobbed weakly above the mud, eyes glazed with terror, tiny jaws snapping at air as it fought for breath. The lioness roared in helpless fury, circling the edge again. The male stood stiff, every muscle taut, as though one wrong move would break him apart. Samuel sprang into action. He pulled a wide wooden plank and coiled rope from the back of his truck, equipment he carried for swamp crossings. The lions tensed, growling, but didn't lunge. Their eyes tracked his every move, balanced between fear and fragile trust that he laid the plank carefully across the unstable soil, testing its weight with each step. It groaned but held. Sweat ran down his temples. He crouched low, creeping out onto the board, every shift of his body sending tremors through the fragile edge. The cub was slipping again, its tiny nose dipping under the mud. Samuel's pulse roared in his ears. There was no time. He leaned dangerously forward, 90% of his weight hanging over the pit. Stretching his arm until his shoulder screamed, He reached for the cub's scruff. For a second, he thought he'd failed. Then his fingers closed around slick, muddy fur. The suction of the mud fought back like a living thing. Samuel pulled with every ounce of strength, his boots sliding on the plank, his muscles straining. Behind him, the lions roared so loudly it shook the air, their cries of terror echoing his own effort. Then, with a sickening slurp, the cub came free. Samuel staggered back on a solid ground, clutching the trembling, mud-covered bundle to his chest. He laid it down gently on the grass a safe distance away. The cub coughed, gasped, then let out a weak cry that cut straight through the storm of tension. It was alive. For a long moment, nobody moved. The lions stood frozen, their massive bodies shivering with adrenaline, their amber eyes locked on Samuel. This was the most dangerous moment of all, the moment instinct could overtake reason. Samuel slowly raised his empty hands and backed away, his breath shallow. He expected the charge, the flash of teeth. Instead, the lioness rushed not at him, but to her cub. She nuzzled it frantically, licking the mud from its fur with swift, urgent strokes. The cub wriggled weakly, then nestled into her warmth. The male stood over them, his breaths deep and steady, his eyes softening as the family was reunited. Samuel exhaled in disbelief. He had just been spared by trust no training manual could ever explain. Keto barked once, breaking the silence, but Samuel hushed him quickly. This was their moment. His role was done. He watched as the lioness coaxed the cub to its feet, nudging it gently until it wobbled on shaky legs. She pressed her muzzle against its head, purring low, while the male lion stood close, his mane brushing against hers in rare tenderness. For several minutes, they ignored Samuel completely. And then, in a gesture that made his heart stop, the lioness lifted her gaze to him. Her amber eyes held his, unblinking. It was not the glare of a predator. It was something else, an acknowledgement, a silent recognition. Then she turned, guiding her cub away into the tall grass, the male walking close behind. Their forms melted into the savanna until only the rustle of grass remained. Samuel stood rooted in place, mud streaked across his arms, his chest still heaving. He had risked everything and been given something no ranger could ever hope to see. Trust from the wildest of hearts. That evening, back at camp, Samuel wrote in his log, "Today, I saved a lion cub. But more than that, I was taught a lesson no book could hold. Love is universal. Fear can be overcome. And in the heart of the wild, even predator and man can find a moment of understanding." The Serengeti grew quiet as the sun sank behind the horizon. Lions roared distantly, elephants rumbled on the plains, and the story of one fragile cub became part of the timeless rhythm of survival. And for Samuel Kumalo, it became the story he would never stop telling. The day when trust bridged the divide man and lion, and the unbelievable happened.